before I pack up my entire book room, before I finish packing up my entire book room, because yes, we are moving, friends. It is happening. The house is chaotic. We're excited. Anyway, I digress. I thought I should go ahead and film a book haul because I have hauled quite a few books since my last book haul, and it would just be easier if, you know, I haul it now, so when I'm unpacking and reorganizing my bookshelves, I don't have to keep an eye out for those books, you know. We're making it easier because moving is hard. How many books do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, we got a lot of books, 22 books to talk about today. So, let's get started. Let's just get started. Let's get started. The first book here is a random mass market paperback. I know I keep talking about this and I know it hasn't happened yet and you're probably like, Beth, when is it gonna happen? It's gonna happen. It's gonna, you know what, too many books, too little time. And I have so many things I wanna get to right now, okay? But I do want to restart my Stephen King journey over from the top, you know? And there are some books that I'm missing. And so I was on the hunt for those books on eBay because I was trying to find cheaper options. Well, I got fucked, essentially. But while I was there browsing, I did find this, and it is a book that I don't have and that I probably will need for my Stephen King journey. It's called The Skin Trade. So it says, first time in paperback, Stephen King, Dan Simmons, and George R.R. Martin, introduced by Douglas E. Winter. All new tales by the masters of terror. And it looks like these. Cute. And I'm also intrigued in the other stories as well. I've never even heard of Dan Simmons, but now that I have heard of Dan Simmons, I need to look into what else he writes. So I'll show you this. This is just the little page of what short stories are in this book, if you're at all curious. So I got that. Cute. Yeah, that's that book. The next book, if you have watched my last, was it wrap up or something? I talked about the Finlay Donovan series by El Casimino. I recently read all 4. I binged all 4 of them. It is a good, fun time. I'm telling you, if you love a good mystery, if you are at all humorous, if you have personality and you like your books to also have personality, I 100% recommend picking up the Finlay Donovan series. The Finlay Donovan series, it essentially starts out where we have our main character, Finlay Donovan, who is a recently divorced single mother of 2 most adorable little kids. She also has a literary agent who's on her back because she needs to write a book. She needs to fulfill her bookish duties because she's already been paid for said book. So they decide to meet up at a Panera so she can discuss with her literary agent what's going on with the book that she's supposed to have been turned in. Well, she gets there and she is literally flying by the seat of her pants, okay? And making up these stories of these books that she hasn't even written yet. Well, another lady at another table overhears their conversation and thinks that Finlay is a hitwoman, okay? And she slides her little piece of paper with some information on how to reach her because she's got a job for her. And at first Finlay's like, haha, she goes to throw it in the trash and she's like, oh wait, never mind, because times is hard. Times is hard right now. So she winds up contacting the lady, and needless to say, times is hard. That's all I gotta say. It is so funny. All the characters are hilarious. The point of the story is I got the newest book, Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. I actually went to El Casimino's book signing here in Houston, and I got to also see Ashley Winstead. While I was there, I didn't get to get her new book because it hadn't come out yet. I think it comes out this coming up Tuesday. Anyway, so she did sign my book. She was so sweet. I can't wait to read this. Maybe it'll be my next book that I pick up. We'll see. I'm just grabbing from the top of this pile, so there is absolutely zero order to this madness. So this next one is an arc. The next few are arcs that came in yesterday. So this is Love's a Witch by Trisha O'Malley. There's like a little Frenchie right here with little wings. A man in a kilt. And it says, she's hexed, He's vexed, and for Scotland's most magical small town, their feud might just spell disaster. Enemies to lovers, snowed in sexy time, Halloween is ruined, talking magical pets, cozy Scottish small town, and a sorority but make it witchy is like the tropes in this book. It sounds really cute. A Halloween romance, say less, truly. Up next, we have How Freaking Romantic by Emily Harding. So this one is, it says on the back, in this sharply funny solo debut, an aspiring lawyer is forced to work alongside the opposing counsel in her best friend's divorce case. And at the little bullet points, says B's briefing for How Freaking Romantic. Fresh take on enemies to lovers, an emotionally supportive man, adult friendships, falling in love. And then crossed out it says, despite all your better judgment. And then on the other side that says unromantic side says, being your own worst enemy, almost every other man, and adult breakups. So could be cute, could be cute. Up next, we have another arc, and that is this one called The Deathless One by Emma Ham. And it says, magic always has a price. I want to see you burn your kingdom down. And then some of the little things on the back say slow burn, forced proximity, badass princess wielding black magic, demon shadow daddy with a tortured past, deal with the devil. So that there's that one. I also have these two that were sent to me. This is part of a series. I want to say this is the third in a series, but it's also like a spin-off series, like spin-off of the Briar U series. I think this series follows the kids of the main characters from the Briar or the off-campus series. I don't know. I've never read any of them, so that's all that I know. This is the Charlie method, and first off, this is signed, so that's cute. Well, it's like a book plate. Super cute. This one follows Charlie Kingston and a throuple. It's her and two guys, and they're a throuple. It says, whatever this is with Charlie, with all three of us, we'll figure it out as we go. I haven't decided if I want to fully keep this or not, simply because it's new adult, and that's typically not the age range of romance that I fully like. I like my main characters in romance to be close to my own age, and I'm not in my early 20s. I'll just put it that way. But it's so, the cover is so cute, and I'm kind of intrigued. I've never read a book about a throuple before, unless you want to call The Wives by Taryn Fisher a quadruple. Then I also got Story of My Life by Lucy Score. This is an arc, and again we have a little signature. So it's really fun. They're starting to send arcs signed, at least Bloom is. Okay, so I'm not sure. Obviously this has something to do with an author, I'm assuming. She's got trouble written all over her. What does it say on the back? What's more inspiring to a rom-com author than a hot, grumpy contractor literally knocking down walls? Hazel Hart is a thriving romance novelist, there we go, until a breakup drives her straight into writer's block. Having failed to deliver her new manuscript, she's living in pajamas and hiding behind a mound of takeout containers. Okay, scroll down, scroll down. But Hazel doesn't care. Not since all 6'3" of grouchy contractor Campbell Bishop slapped a bandage on her forehead and unintentionally inspired the heck out of her. There's only one thing to do: hire Cam and his equally gorgeous brothers to renovate her new spider museum or house. Cam wants to say no. Hazel's got trouble written all over her, but if his family's business is going to stay afloat, they need the job. Besides, he's certain Hazel won't last a month in rural Pennsylvania, but before she knows it, she's writing a romance novel and living one, at least until she has to save the town and Cam remembers exactly why he doesn't do relationships. Sounds really cute. Not gonna lie. I've only read one other Lucy Score book and I thought it was okay. So hopefully this one beats that one out of the water. Okay, up next we have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in this series, the Rose Hill series. And really quick, I was just on Instagram earlier this morning scrolling, and I scrolled past an Elsie Silver reel of her checking off her to-do list. And you know what she checked off of her to-do list? Writing a book for Harvey. If you are a fan of the Chestnut Spring series, then you know who Harvey is. And this is some exciting news. Anyway, Wildside, this is the third book in this series. I will say this series does not hit like Chestnut Spring series has hit. I believe I gave books 1 and 2 both 3 stars. I am currently reading this on my Kindle because this series is on Kindle Unlimited, but this book follows Tabitha and Reese and like marriage of convenience, essentially. Tabitha's sister has passed away and had a little boy, and she left like legal guardianship to Reese, who was her landlord slash friend, instead of leaving him to her own family. Tabitha is her sister and wants this little boy in her life, and so I believe they marry to get him, because he's not a Canadian. He just goes to Canada like during his off periods of work. He actually is an American, and so I believe in order for Milo to stay there with them, I believe her and Reese get married. Anyway, I'm not too far into it. I think I'm like 15% into this. It says the tension between them has always been palpable, but living under the same roof is a dangerous temptation. Tabitha swore she would never forgive him because she made him pinky promise to her when her sister was moving into his house that he owned, like a duplex situation that he owned, that he would contact Tabitha if anything, any problems arise, and that he would take care of Erica because Erica was a recovering drug addict, and that's how she passed away, is because she relapsed. But anyway, but that was before she knew the man behind the mask, the one who's fierce and protective, the one who's gentle and patient, the one who shows up for her and her nephew when they need him most. He's not all who she thought he was, and that makes hating her husband so much harder and loving him just a little too easy. Do you know what this man does for a living? He's a pro wrestler for the WWE. That is hilarious. I've never read a book with the character being a pro wrestler for the WWE. And let me tell you something. Growing up, my brother was obsessed. I'm talking like before it was even WWE, when it was WWF and WCW, brother was obsessed. Every single year for Halloween, he was either Sting, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and so like when your brother's obsessed, and me and my brother were a year apart, I was there. I've even went to see wrestlers in person so it's really funny that he's a wrestler, and he's keeping it a secret. Like, she's like, he's coming home from work with all these bruises and I don't know where they're coming from, because your man's a wrestler, babe. The next few books that I'm going to show you are, so Chris and Mads. Have y'all heard of them? Okay, they're sisters, and they're here on YouTube. They're on TikTok. They tell me what to buy. They don't know who I am, but they tell me what to buy, basically. So I recently picked up The Shadow of What Was Lost because Maddie read this and said it's 6 stars worthy. This is the same author, James Islington, that wrote The Will of the Many. I believe he wrote this trilogy first. I picked up the first book. It's beefy. A destiny calls, a journey begins. On the back here it says, storytelling assurance rare for a debut. Fans of Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson will find much to admire. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, another book that Maddie has read, and I believe gave 6 stars to, is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. I have seen this book quite a bit the past few years. Most of the time it's by people who I follow and love, but our book taste doesn't fully align. But I trust Maddie, I fear, and so I bought it. This is In the Ashes of a Dying World. Red finds a letter marked burn before reading. So begins an unlikely correspondence between 2 rival agents in a war that stretches through the vast reaches of time and space. I hear this is like a masterpiece, a love story, and you'll want to reread it multiple times to fully grasp everything. And look how thin it is. And that's a lot for a little thin book like this. So a twisting sapphic time travel fantasy love story that never stops surprising. Readers will reach the end and want to turn back to the start. Chris and Mads, the Kristen part of the duo has been on a YA kick lately, which we can appreciate, and she recently read this, Our Infinite Fates, and she did a raving review, and I immediately went and picked it up. First off, let's talk really quick about the fact that publishers are now releasing their own deluxe editions with sprayed edges, and I love that. You know why? Because I don't have to go to Pango Books and pay $700 for a book because it has sprayed edges on there. I can easily just go to Barnes & Noble, go to Amazon, go to my local used bookstore, and they have books with sprayed edges because the publishers have now started releasing their own, and we appreciate. I recently pre-ordered Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I was on the hunt for like the cute deluxe edition, could never find it under $100, but now the actual publishers are releasing their own special edition, and I've already got it pre-ordered. I've also seen Local Woman Missing, which is a thriller, getting its own deluxe edition, and that, my friends, is rare because the thrillers never get the cool stuff. Never get the cool stuff. It's one of the top selling genres. We never get the cool stuff. Pre-ordered that too. Anyway, Our Infinite Fates. So I don't know what this is about. I mean, I watched her raving review and she talked about like the angst and all that stuff, which I love. I would much rather read a book that's like 7,000 pages long and it's full of angst and tension and build up, and then at the very end, second to the last page, they finally fucking kiss. Perfection. That would be my type of romance book, okay? So I'm hoping that's kind of what this is. Probably not, I don't know. With every kiss and every kill, Evelyn and Arden's fate is eternally sealed. Oh, is this the one where we have this girl and she has lived multiple lives, and every year on her birthday, not every year, every life, I want to say on her 18th birthday, she gets killed. And then when she comes back and she relives her life again on her 18th birthday, she gets killed. And so this time, this life that she's truly loving, she's like, bitch, I dare you. I'm gonna find you before you can kill me, because I believe it's the same person that keeps constantly killing her in every life. Is that this book? Wouldn't it be funny if that wasn't this book? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War. Okay. Evelyn can remember all her past lives. She can also remember that in every single one, she's being murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being linked to her soul. Look at that. It's beautiful. Stunning. Stunning. Anyway, got that. Okay. I'm not going to say that's all the books that I was inspired by Chris and Mads to pick up, but because it's not. Okay, the next book was actually sent to me by Eileen. She got the first book for me and I read it, The Heartless Hunter, read it, loved it. And then the second book came out and she sent this one to me as well. I cannot wait to read it because the ending of Heartless Hunter, are you joking? Are you joking? I need to know. I need to know. So thank you so much, Eileen, for sending me this book. And I cannot wait to read it. The Crimson Moth, book 2. Is this a duology or is this a whole series? I need to know. I know they tell you not to judge a book by its cover. I never wanted to pick it up because let's take a second and look at this ugly ass cover. Now that we've taken that second, let's take a look at the new cover. Are you joking? If you would have just did something like this from the get-go, you know, but it's been picked up by a publisher, and I want to say the 7th book has recently came out or something. It's a series. It's a series. I only picked up book 1. I'm trying to be good. I say that, and I have book 2 in a series that I haven't read book 1 yet. Let's not talk about that. Okay, I'm trying to be good and not buy the entire series of every book that I pick up. The apocalypse will be televised. In this book, it's about this guy named Carl. He is cat watching his girlfriend's cat in her apartment, and I want to say she calls him up and says, hey, actually we're breaking up or something like that. I don't know. The cat gets out of the apartment, like jumps out of the window, runs out the door, something like that. And so he leaves the apartment to go find this cat, and at that exact moment, invaders come and demolish every building on the world. I think, I don't know. The people who weren't in the buildings are the only people left, and now they have to like go through these trials and stuff to survive, and it's all televised. Like, doesn't that sound fun? Welcome to the first book in the wildly popular and addictive Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Donovan, now with bonus material exclusive to this print edition. You know what's worse than breaking up with your girlfriend? Being stuck with her prize-winning cat. And you know what's worse than that? An alien invasion. The destruction of all man-made structures on Earth and the systematic exploitation of all of the survivors for a sadistic intergalactic game show. That's what. You will not break me, is what he says. I don't know. The cover is so cute though. Like, hello. And like, I love that this looks... Does it look like a cat's tail? Is that what it's supposed to be? I mean, there's a little cat there. It could be the dungeon because it's a dungeon crawler. I don't know. Listen, Linda. I know I got a lot of long series on my list of series that I already currently own. Okay? Why not add to it? Truly, why not? This is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series. This, my friends, is a door stopper. Okay, it's thick and it's only book 1. Why did I buy this book? Listen, I have been binge watching so many fantasy creators and I've been sucked into it, babe. I am in the biggest thriller slump. I mean, I've read a few bangers, but I'm reading more duds than I am bangers, and I feel like I need more variety in my life. And prior to like 2019, I was a fantasy reader, albeit mostly YA fantasy, but I was predominantly like fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi type books. And then in 2019, I discovered thriller, and I just kind of completely went AWOL and just became a thriller reader. But now I'm struggling, and I feel like it's time to get back to my roots. But instead of reading predominantly YA fantasy and stuff, I want to dive into the adult. And because I don't fully love super smutty things, I know romantasy is really big, but I feel like I may lean more towards just regular non-romantic. I don't know. I mean, if it's romantasy without all the smut, leave me recommendations is what I'm trying to say. I feel like I have to explain myself all the time, and I shouldn't have to explain myself. I do read smut. Don't get me wrong, but I can only take it in smallish doses, you know? Okay. Speaking of door-stopping fantasies, I have Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Stormlight Archive. Book 2, okay? Have I read book 1? No. Sure haven't. Listen, what if prices keep increasing and eventually I can only afford 1 book a month? What if? If that happens, I am set with books to read. That's my only excuse as to why I keep whatever. I see my faults, okay? I see my red flags. I see my toxic bookish traits. I see it. I do. You do not have to tell me. You do not have to tell me, Beth, stop buying so many fucking tomes, and read them. You don't have to tell me that. I already know. I see it. It's gonna be fine because I have 2 more. But listen, I am currently trying to collect Stephen King books, okay? And I'm trying to do it in an affordable kind of way. And so when I see books in this good condition, I snatch them up. So I have Wolves of the Kala. Like, these literally look brand new. And then Songs of Susanna. I got these from Half Price Books. Look at these prices. Look at them. $9.99, $12.99. While I was there, they had a good... My Half Price Books never has Stephen King books. Or they'll have like 5 to pick from, and 4 of them don't even have covers on them. That is the Stephen King section at my Half Price Books. Now, the last time I went to go turn in some books at Half Price Books, they had a good chunk of them. A lot of the ones that they had, though, I already own. Those were the only 2 that were in great condition that I didn't already own. With the exception of Carrie, they did have a first edition pristine book of Carrie, but they wanted a lot of money for it, and at that time I was like, I don't know, I feel like they're upcharging, but I should have got it because now I have regrets. Okay. Next up, we have House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. Here's the cover. Okay, step into the House of the Beast in this stunning dark fantasy debut from the Legend of Korra graphic novel illustrator Michelle Wong. Dark fantasy debut. Dark fantasy debut. Born out of wedlock and shunned by society. Say less. Say less. We already know she's going to be a baddie. Anyway, yeah, this was, okay. There's that. Cute, cute. And the next book was also sent to me, and when this came in the mail, I was like, cool for her. She has a memoir, but I have no idea who this is. And a lot of the times when celebrities release memoirs, I pick them up because I tend to love them if I am familiar with the celebrity. And so when I got this in the mail, I was like, I have no idea like who this is. Then I cracked it open. Okay, best known as John Cusack's dream girl in the classic 1989 film Say Anything, and then I was like, say less, say less. I loved that movie as like a preteen teenager because my mom would watch it all the time. I never knew her name, and I don't know what she's been up to, but now that I've got the book, I'm gonna find out what she's been up to. The last 3 books are all the same book, just in different editions. And I know what you're thinking, Beth, how the fuck is this book the same as this book? The math ain't math. I know the math ain't mathin'. I just so listen, I joined Chris and Mad's Patreon. The book of the month for their buddy read is Little Women. I wanted a copy that I could annotate. I wanted like a good thick paperback floppy copy. I ordered a copy from Second Sale, and I guess they just choose randomly what editions they send you. So they sent me this, and I'm like, are we missing half of the story? There's no way this little book of 150 pages is the same thing as those Beast books. Is this for children? I don't know, but look how cute this is. I am not mad because I feel like this would be cute as like a little prim decor book on a shelf in my daughter's room even. So I'm not mad at it. So I got that. So then I was still on the hunt for a book. And so I also found, this is, what is this called? Masterpiece Library Edition. It has golden pages. I found this and I love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And then when it came in the mail, I was like, this is too gorgeous to annotate. Because look at it. It's stunning. Stunning. So that's where this other book comes in. This is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. This is actually not the original cover of these edition books. This is what I wanted. Okay? Because this matches my Pride and Prejudice and Wuthering Heights books that are also in this line. They look very gothic, very, let me draw on my notebook at school cover. Loved it. They redid it. They redid the cover, and this is what it looks like now. I'm not mad at it, but I'm not, you know. This is, it says 150th Anniversary Annotated Edition. I flipped through it. I don't see any annotations. Oh, there's like notes, I guess, at the end of chapters and such. I don't know, but this is the copy that I'm gonna annotate as I read along with them. And if you join their Patreon and you do like the buddy read with them, at the end of every week, they release like deep dive conversation videos that are very cool to watch. So that's why I got this one. I've never read, nor have I ever seen an adaptation of Little Women. I don't know anything about this. I just know that we have sisters. That's all that I know about it. So I'm really excited to dive into this. I'm gonna pack up all of these books, and I'm gonna leave this one out because this is the one that I'm gonna read physically during this week. See, we have 8 days from today is when we're actually moving into the new place. So, whatever. Anyway, that is the last book of this book haul. Ta-da! Now I can go ahead and finish. Let me show you. So we have some of the packed up books here. I've relocated some. These are the books that I just hauled. I've relocated some into our dining room, but this is what I have left to pack up. Slay. Oh, stretch.